First time.
So, this chapter is really interesting because when we start out, it gets straight into it and then we get cucked and it's like, oh, it's not gonna happen. And it's a good way for Ryuji to kind of trick us into thinking it's not happening.
Gotcha, bitch!
But what's interesting about the whole situation is that Chizuru turns it down as quickly as she started it, and I think the reason she did that is because she's afraid. She's really, really afraid. She's terrified because that awkward silence, what it did is it made her kind of think about what she just said. It took her out of the moment, and that's really bad because it killed her momentum and made her relapse into her bad habit of assuming a negative outcome due to her bad self-image. That's why she looks so down and upset after she says, "Of course you don't." And we don't get to see her face because she goes to the bathroom to hide her clearly frustrated face because she made this mess and she thinks she got rejected by what's essentially the only significant person in her life. And when she gets proven wrong, she's like, I'm a fucking idiot. Why didn't I just say anything? Why didn't I just like wait for him to finish instead of interrupting him and not waiting? And she's like really upset at herself, and I think that's what's going on. She's like, God damn it, I rejected myself. I let myself get rejected. I didn't need to get rejected. He actually fucking likes me. But what's interesting here is we're kind of starting to see how we're kind of starting to get a better visual of how Chizuru thinks of all this and how Kazuya thinks of all this, or at least I am. Kazuya is stuck with the whole this is a client rental relationship. Chizuru is like, I don't think he likes me, and it's just something they've conditioned themselves, they've done for the longest time. It's kind of silly, but it's really charming how they did it. I also like the foreshadowing that comes up in this chapter, so I love how the foreshadowing is built up in this. Kazuya asked Chizuru about her grandma, and this is a question we've all been wondering. Did she outright tell her or not? Because it could have cut out, anything could have happened. We don't know, but it sounds like she didn't, and what that tells us, in a sense, she does have some regret. There is regret there. Even if she says there isn't, it's like the regret isn't specifically about Negami. The regret is what comes after that. The fact that because she didn't tell her grandma, oh, I said Negami. Sayuri. The fact that she didn't tell Sayuri is the problem because now it comes back to Negami. Because at some point they have to reveal the truth, and Chizuru is scared out of her fucking wits. Because when the truth does come out, Negami's gonna hate her. She's gonna look at her with contempt. At least that's how she views it. You can even see Chizuru's fears about getting found out by Negami, like immediately as Kazuya asks about Sayuri. Like the face she shows is so serious and like so guarded. Like she looks like she immediately switched gears and just went into defensive mode. She just doesn't want to deal with the situation at all, and she's like utterly terrified by it, and she's confiding in him in her fears. She doesn't want Kazuya to go and tell Negami and Negami to find out about this because Kazuya pushed her to see the truth that she needs to tell her grandma, that she needs to own up to these lies because it's not fair to Sayuri to lie to her, especially on her deathbed. And it sucks because right after she says a line that is almost sad to me because she tells Kazuya that she's grateful to him that he showed her the truth like this, and it's very like allegory of the cave kind of esque, where Kazuya showed her the truth that she needs to worry about her own feelings. And when she says the line, it's like, I didn't even know if it was for me or for her. It's sad because she's coming to terms with her feelings, and the fact that Negami could find out is extremely scary to her because it's like having to come to face with that decision all over again, because Negami is essentially like Chizuru's second grandma. Like she's pretty much family at this point with how much Negami cares about Chizuru and how much she has supported Chizuru up until this point, so she doesn't want to feel essentially shunned by a parent figure. That would be like pretty awful on Chizuru's end. What we know about Chizuru is that she has struggled with her dream for the longest time, and all she wants to do was make her grandma's dream come true essentially, and that dream eventually became her dream. But the thing is that this is almost a mirroring of what happened with Negami in like chapter 3 or chapter 4, where she essentially comes over to Kazuya's house and Kazuya's about to tell her the truth, and then because Chizuru sees this, or Chizuru overhears it, she stops it from happening to make Negami's dream come true, because making Negami's dream come true is indirectly making Sayuri's dream come true, because they're essentially the same dream. Making Negami's dream come true is the same as Sayuri's, because Sayuri also wanted Chizuru to find someone for her in her life. It wasn't just about the movie. The movie was another dream that she wanted, but it was also kind of Chizuru's dream. So it's like this weird limbo where Chizuru can't make her grandma's dream come true, so she'll settle for making Negami's dream come true, because that is essentially essentially a way for her to heal her broken heart. She can't get over the fact that she feels useless and can't make her dream come true, so she essentially settles for another dream. And this creates a special bond for Chizuru because now she feels closer to Negami. She almost understands Negami and how she's acceptant of Chizuru despite her lying and doing all these things behind her back. So she's afraid to break another dream, essentially. She's afraid to fuck up this one thing that she felt like she got right. She essentially only got to show half of her dream to Sayuri. It came true in spirit. She even says that. The thing is like, this is the one thing that she essentially did make come true, even if it was a lie. And that's also interesting that she brings up this conversation because not only does it make Kazuya realize that he's not her boyfriend, it actually sparks him saying that to her, but it also highlights how Chizuru thought she was getting rejected this whole time. Because she wouldn't talk about it like this, because it would be a little different. She would say, oh, but now I did kind of make it come true because we're dating, something like that. She would actually say that. But it also highlights something else that would be pretty easy to miss considering the moment, and it's the fact that, as I mentioned a second ago, she's confiding in Kazuya and her fears. And she's still, even now, giving him signals that she trusts him more than an ordinary person. And it shows because ever since chapter 164, she's been opening up more and more to Kazuya. You can even see this in last chapter when Kazuya asks her, is this okay? And she answers him honestly. She's like, yeah, blah, 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 even though she's clearly hiding the relationship factor to this, the fact that she wants to ask him because she's afraid of Kazuya possibly figuring out her feelings, but she still answers him honestly. And then it happens again when he mentions the hazelnuts and her ordering 2 different types of dessert. It's like, is that okay? What about your career? It's like all these times she's answering Kazuya honestly and truthfully without like lying to herself or lying to him. And the fact that she's been confiding in him so much and opening up so much to him is why he keeps saying the line, I see so many sides to Chizuru, I'm learning so much about her so quickly. And this is something I really want to see explored more. I want to learn more about Chizuru too, and not just Chizuru. I want to learn what Chizuru learns about Kazuya and how she's been overthinking this whole time, because in the end of this chapter it's very clear that she's pretty aware of the fact that she, just like him, she's been overthinking way too much, and the answer was right in front of her. It was really obvious. It's also crazy how Sayuri's death ended up being set up for a lot of different things, like how Sayuri's death wasn't just set up for Chizuru to deal with her issues and her issues to come to resurface and then her breaking down. It was also set up for what's to come after and how Chizuru deals with the situation of Negami finding out the truth, because the truth was going to come out eventually. It was just a matter of how's it going to come out, what's going to happen with it, and how's it going to impact the characters. See how far Ryuji thought ahead. Like he planned how Sayuri's death not would only impact Chizuru and Kazuya, but how it would impact Negami, the relationship Negami has with everyone else, the relationship that Kazuya has with Chizuru. It's all just like coming together piece by piece. That's so cool to see how far ahead he planned. He like planted the seeds like way long ago, and now they're all like resurfacing as trees. That's so cool. But what's interesting here is this also hints to us at the angle mommy can take. This is literally just telling us the angle mommy's going to take. She's going to just tell her how they've been lying this whole time. Negami will ask Chizuru, hey, did you tell Negami before she died? And if she says no, see what's happening? This is the angle they can take. So this will be like an interesting setup to see where this goes, because if they actually transition into dating, we'll see how this plays out when it eventually reaches Negami's ears, because this can play out either as them getting together beforehand or getting together after. Either way, it's gonna work. There's no issues with that. And I also really love this line from Kazuya when he says, that won't happen, I won't let it. Kazuya is willing to stand up to his family. His family, the people that we have been shown that he loves to the ends of this earth, even if they treat him badly, even though they're essentially the source of all of his insecurities, but he's never like outright stood up to them. And now, like, imagine this, Kazuya. Like, remember the New Year's date where Ruka like lies to the family, and Kazuya's literally on the ground, and he had to literally lie his way out of the situation. Imagine that Kazuya and this Kazuya. This Kazuya actually is willing to stand up to his family for this girl. That's how much he loves her. What I could also see happening is when the confrontation transformation does happen with Negami and Mami and everyone else, Kazuya takes it all upon himself and says, this is my fault. I dragged Chizuru into this relationship even though she didn't feel the same. And then she like reciprocates his feelings as Kazuya's being like shunned by everyone around him. And then they kind of explain how Kazuya has been helping Chizuru and doing all this stuff for her and yada yada yada. He loves this girl so much. He got 3 different indications that he might get turned down, got led on multiple times, literally got forced back into the client-rental relationship, and still had the guts to ask her about her grandma, listened to her worries and frustrations, said he would help her through them despite viewing himself as less than a neighbor to her, and then somehow still mustered up the courage to tell her how he really feels. Kazuya could give 2 shits about the consequences if it means he makes this girl happy. I'm so proud of my boy. I'm so proud of my boy. Chizuru's insecurities is actually what's holding this relationship back. Kazuya is the adult in this relationship. He's the one who's come to terms with his feelings while Chizuru has been confused and conflicted. She's ironically the emotionally immature one because she's the one who always puts on a brave face and tries to be the adult when Kazuya is more of an adult than she is. Sayuri literally called this in chapter 58. Chizuru is clingy and insecure about her feelings. She keeps bottling them up because she's conditioned herself that she's not a good person and she's not good enough to enjoy the life that she has. She pushes people away because she's afraid that if she gets them involved in her problems, they'll leave her anyway or she'll lose them in some way, shape, or form. Chizuru is extremely insecure, more so than Kazuya, and it shows in her character. Kazuya knows her better than any of us. He knows she might not reciprocate his feelings and might drag this out because of her insecurities, but he still tells her because he understands their situation and how she's clearly struggling on her own right now. And the fact that he realizes that he can do this more effectively if they are actually dating and he tells her how he feels, progress for his character. And the worst part is you see her respond, how are you going to manage that? Instant realization that he's not her boyfriend. Instant realization that he needs to confess. And you see this all throughout the chapter with Kazuya's faces. His eyebrows are down, he looks serious a lot of the times, and he feels sad. He feels sad that he didn't tell her. And I think that's why he goes out of his way to tell her. I really hope that whenever the confrontation with Mami happens, it doesn't spark Negami's death. Because there are red flags that this might happen. There are serious red flags that this might happen. Because she's already old and she's already weak. And the fact that they were lying about this relationship could be really bad. There's a lot of ways this could play out, and I think it's really interesting. But the biggest thing is Ryuji's really good at subverting expectations. I mean, in this chapter, Kazuya gets cucked twice. Like everyone's like, oh, he's gonna get cucked, and Ryuji's like, I'm gonna cuck him twice and I'm gonna have him confess. What are you gonna do about it? Like, what a power move. I've never seen an author just see look the audience dead in the eye and just be like, you know what? I'm gonna cuck him just cause you said that. And I'm gonna have him confess just cause you said that. Fuck you.
No, you didn't.
So what if I did? What are you gonna do about it, huh? Come at me, bro.
Like, Ryuji is such a good writer. Like, he knows how to mess with audience expectations on the fucking dot, and he got me so good. I also like how Ryuji uses Kazuya to highlight to the audience things we probably would have missed. So something like how Chizuru was giggly drunk the whole time, but at the same time she was in control. She was aware of what she was doing because this was essentially liquid courage for her. She was using this as a moment to confront Kazuya, and you see how she essentially finishes his sentence for him. She doesn't even let him speak. She looks defeated and she looks sad, and it's a really sad moment to see. And finally, Kazuya did the deed. He finally confessed. Like, he was literally short like a word and a half. He quite literally was short a word and a half. You cannot. He admitted it. Come on. There's no way. Like, Chizuru cannot deny it anymore. It is in her ballpark. Come on. The relationship has got to start. I get we're gonna get straight into the Mami arc, like from just the title of the next chapter. It could also be doing the thing where it jumps essentially from the perspective of Kazuya and Chizuru to Mami and Kibe, and then it jumps between them. And you know, one thing I would really be interested to see, personally speaking, is how Kibe and Mami's relationship plays out. It could be an interesting mirroring of how this relationship started out. She got into the relationship because she was trying to get into Kazuya's family and break his family apart, and that was her intent. But what's interesting is that Kibe was the first person to call Mami out on her bullshit. Go back to the beach arc. He was the first person to call her out on her bullshit. So imagine it in this relationship of theirs, this most likely fake relationship, because it's okay, they got into a relationship. That's literally what the title of this next chapter kind of hints at us, that they got into a relationship. Or, you know, it's a work relationship, not romantic. Yeah, I know, I'm an idiot. But what would be interesting about it is if their relationship eventually evolves to Kibe understanding Mami, and he calls her out on her shit, but he doesn't shun her, and instead he tries to help her. And you see how their relationship blossoms and it becomes a real relationship. That would be a really interesting thing to see for Kibe and Mami, because Kibe can fix Mami. That would be really interesting. That would be a really interesting twist, because Kibe is a surprisingly mature dude, and he's really aware of this shit despite not having a girlfriend, and it'd be really interesting if he ends up with Mami for realsies. For realsies, oh my god, what am I even saying? That's a prediction I'm going to stand by. If it happens, just know I called it. Kibe fixes Mami, or Kibe calls out Mami on her shit. I'm just saying. And I also like how in the paneling when Kazuya is confessing, we never actually see Chizuru. It is intended to mislead us as the audience, because in this whole time, you're not seeing Chizuru. You see her for a single frame. As she's about to walk in, you see her hair, and then you see Kazuya talking. And so Kazuya looking down this whole time, it's easy to understand Kazuya's perspective of thinking she didn't hear him, or he fucked her, or something along those lines. And from Kazuya's perspective, I can 200% understand why he would think he didn't tell her.
First time.
Perfect setup. This is perfect setup. I didn't even realize this. What's could be interesting that could happen here is next chapter when Kazuya is drinking with Kibe, he finds out what's going on. He finds out that Mami is working with his family now. He finds out that Kibe could possibly be in a relationship with Mami, or Kibe could be in a work relationship with Mami. That could be a really interesting twist. This is how we could get into the Mami arc and transition onward to see what's going on. It's gonna be really interesting if Kazuya hears about Kibe and Mami getting together, because he's gonna be like, "You want my ex? Excuse me, Kibe? What?" Also, Chizuru in bed with a shirt.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Yeah, she was very cute this entire chapter. I'm not going to deny that. But it's interesting to see because in the final thing, it says that Chizuru, is she blushing because of the wine? She's not. There were scenes in this chapter where she was not blushing at all. So you cannot tell me she's blushing because of the wine. She's blushing because she hurt him. We all know why. Shut up. Shut up. Don't try to mislead me with some bullshit red herring again. Last chapter was literally the entire thing was a fucking red herring. You're not gonna do this shit to me again. I'm not gonna fall for this crap.
All right, let me tell you the good news. We don't need the
red herring.
Oh!
Alright, so this chapter was really fun, a lot of setup here, really interesting where this can go. I think the next chapter is going to be Kazuya and Kibe talking while they're drinking, and Kazuya finds out about the Kibe Mami situation and his family, and thus we transition into the Mami arc and solving the lies and dealing with the Mami stuff. And then I think maybe after we deal with that situation, it could maybe transition to Ruka, or it could all come together then and there, and everything explodes from here on out. So we'll see where it goes. These two are gonna get together. It's becoming like so obnoxiously close. Like it's so to the point where it's just like it's just gonna happen. It's gotta happen at some point. And that could set up for Kazuya's progression as a character to like find out what he wants to do in life, and Chizuru fixing herself up and having some love for herself instead of all this self-loathing and fear and doubt in her mind because she's so alone and won't open up to people. And that could be like a good way to transition the story and have them progress as characters without ending it, because I feel like ending it right as they get together would be kind of sad, especially with all this setup that's yet to be explored. And it's just something I really want to see happen within the story without, you know, just being completely cut out and ending it right then and there. I really dislike those endings where we just don't get like anything after they get together. That's just it's not my thing. Maybe give me like how Quintessential Quintuplets is doing, where it just shows them getting married. Like I haven't read the manga, but come on, they literally show them getting married at the end. Like at least show me that far. I would like to at least see them get married. I want to see that. I want to see Negami live that. I want to see Negami literally sheer willpower her way to the marriage. That's what I want to see. I want Negami just in a fucking wheelchair on her deathbed, and she's like, I will not die until I see you get married. And as they're getting married, she's like, GG son, it was nice watching you get married. I'm a pass now. And then Kazuya takes over the shop or something, or becomes a movie director. All right, so this is all my thoughts on this chapter. If you enjoyed this review, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the bell icon to keep up with my uploads. Thank you for watching. I'm really excited for next chapter. I'll do my best not to read the spoilers this time around because I don't want to get spoiled. I'm curious what's going to happen. So for now, thank you for watching. I have been Fate, and remember, let's mosey.